comply with a subpoena. Joining us is Democratic Congressman Ted Lieu of California. He's been very critical of the president in both the Russia and the Stormy Daniels cases. So, Congressman, thanks for being here. First, I want to just get your reaction to this news. The president may plead the Fifth.
Thank you, Anna, for your question. As a legal matter, the Fifth Amendment protects defendants in a court of law. But as a political matter, the Fifth Amendment does not offer any such protection. In fact, it's the opposite. If the president were to plead the Fifth Amendment, the overwhelming majority of Americans would conclude that he has something to hide, that he's guilty of something. Donald Trump is very aware of that. That's why he himself has repeatedly stated he wants to do the interview with Special Counsel Mueller. I hope that interview happens.
So you don't think that he's going to plead the Fifth Amendment? You're pretty confident about that?
Like Rudy Giuliani said, it's hard to be confident about anything related to how this president thinks. But I think he understands that politically it would be very, very bad if he were to plead the Fifth Amendment, because it sends all sorts of signals that he's trying to hide information from the American people.
The implication of guilt or something. But you'll recall a Hillary Clinton aide pleaded the Fifth. Was Clinton guilty of something?
So Hillary Clinton did not plead the Fifth, but when you ask that question,
one of her aides did. Her IT person.
Yeah, in the court of public opinion, I would think that that person had something to hide. Absolutely. And that's why in a court of law, we instruct juries not to make that inference. But everyone knows in real life, in the court of public opinion, it's natural for us to make that inference because it's usually true that if someone doesn't want to talk, they've got something to hide.
Now, if Trump does not agree to an interview, what do you want to see from Robert Mueller? Do you think he would subpoena him?
So if Robert Mueller subpoenaed Donald Trump, then Donald Trump would have to comply with the subpoena. That was the whole lesson of Watergate. No one is above the law, not even the president. In Nixon versus the United States, the Supreme Court said you have to comply with the subpoena. But Donald Trump could do what every other defendant has a right to do, which is to plead the Fifth Amendment. And again, that gets into more of a political issue as to how very bad that would look for the president.
As you know, though, a subpoena could also get tied up in litigation, which could drag this investigation on many, many more months.
It could, and I think that's something that Donald Trump and his lawyers also want to avoid. Special Counsel Mueller also has another option, which is he can just continue going on with this investigation in his case without the president testifying. Special counsels and prosecutors routinely go ahead with cases when they don't have the defendant or subject or target testify because they can get evidence from other witnesses.
Now, the judge overseeing the case against Paul Manafort has been incredibly critical of Mueller in open court. On Friday, he said this, quote, "You don't really care about Mr. Manafort's bank fraud, prosecution, or impeachment of Trump. That's what you're really interested in." He also expressed concern that Mueller was, quote, unfettered. How do you see this now impacting the special counsel investigation?
So the judge made some critical comments about some of the charges that the special counsel put against Paul Manafort, but other charges he did not say that to. So Paul Manafort is still in deep trouble regardless of whether or not some of these charges may not be able to go forward as part of the special counsel. But there's nothing saying that if the special counsel's office sees crime that has happened, that they can't refer it to another office to continue doing the prosecution. The same way with what's going on with the Stormy Daniels case, it's the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York that's doing the investigation. And in this case, the special counsel could just refer those charges to Virginia to do bank fraud.
Let me pivot to another topic, because earlier this week, Giuliani said North Korea was going to release 3 American detainees. He said it's going to happen today. They still haven't been released. You are on the Foreign Affairs Committee as well. Do you have any idea what's going on?
I do not. We're going back to session this week. I expect to get a briefing on the North Korean hostage situation. I do note that of the 3 hostages, 1 was taken under the Obama administration, 2 were taken under the Trump administration, and there was no basis for North Korea to take any of these hostages. They were either teaching or doing business, nothing nefarious about what they were doing. So North Korea needs to release them because there's no basis for holding them.
I want to quickly ask you as well about your colleague, Congressman Tony Cardenas, a colleague from California, also a Democrat. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi is calling for an ethics investigation into the allegations that Cardenas sexually assaulted a minor more than a decade ago. Do you think Cardenas should resign?
I don't know any more other than what I've read in a newspaper. I support Nancy Pelosi's call for a House ethics investigation, and at this point, I'm willing to withhold judgment until we see more facts come out.
Now, Al Franken and John Conyers, you'll recall, resigned before the investigations were complete. So what's different here?
In John Conyers' case, there were multiple accusers that came forward, and ultimately it was John Conyers' decision to resign. And in Al Franken's case, again, it was Al Franken's decision to resign, and there was actual documentary evidence. We don't have any of the facts right now regarding Tony Cardenas.
All right, thank you so much, Congressman.